It's time to change the way we talk about periods, from shame to pride, from taboo to truth, from ugh to empowered. Welcome to Let's Talk Period, brought to you by Red Diamond Sisters. Your period isn't a problem, it's your power. Welcome to Let's Talk Period. Today, I'm honored to speak with Della. So Jamie is an ordained shamanic priestess and an award-winning author of 9 books, including The Book of Spells and the Wicca Cookbook. Her essays, poems, and articles have been published in a variety of magazines. Jamie is also a teacher and mentor of magical arts. She helps her students empower their original innocence, discover their innate lovability, and activate their divine intuition. Jamie has a writer's spirit and the fairy's soul, and she loves to teach, create, throw pottery, and get out into nature. Today, Jamie will share with us how to perform rituals to honor our period. So, Jamie, I'm so happy to have you here with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here and support your work and also educating people from all ages, all over the world about how we can empower ourselves by really honoring and celebrating our period, our menses, rather than being afraid of it or allowing some of the cultural conversations that have gone on that disempower women when they're on their menses and give them some strength to really really love their periods in a way that we've never done before.
Thank you. Thank you. You are a true red diamond sister. You're talking my
Yeah.
language. Thank you, Jamie. I'm so glad that like you're the perfect guest. You're the perfect guest. Well, let me just go ahead and start asking you some questions. The first question is, the magic seems to be the theme of your work. And so magic is a big deal for you. It's your life's work. How in the world did you get started in the world of magic?
I believe it started from the get-go. I believe that my introduction to magic spoke to me even before I was born. So the month before I came into this world, my mother's mother crossed to the other side. And I believe that we had a really strong connection. And when that connection, when she went into the spirit world, that she left that door open so that I could always talk to her. And being raised in a Mexican American home, it's not strange to talk to a picture and expect that the picture is going to talk back to you. It's not weird to have a conversation with those who have crossed over to the other side. I mean, that movie Coco, everybody was like, oh, okay, this is, it's new to some people, but for us having up an ofrenda, an altar to your ancestors and speaking to them was a constant for me. It was already embedded. And so I then, because I am just a barefooted, wandering, tree hugging, dirt loving kind of person, I felt that, well, if you could speak to spirits of people, why couldn't you speak to the spirits of trees? What about the spirits of the creek or maybe even a flower? And so, this idea that there was a consciousness and an alive, alert awareness that wasn't just in humans, but existed in all of life was a natural transition for me. It was something that I automatically went to. So for me, that is part of magic, is really that connection, that unseen connection, having faith in something that you can't see, but you can feel. And that to me, so that coincidences and, serendipity was all something that was perhaps even fated. As in the word weird, we tend to say, especially, a conversation about periods, isn't that weird? As in strange, but the word weird, WYRD, originally meant that it was fated, that it was the weird sisters, the fated sisters. So this is something that you are predestined to experience because of the choices that you had made. So I kept that portal of conversation open. And so it increased, just like a muscle will grow in strength the more you use it. When the more we use our intuition muscle and that muscle of communication with the unseen world, the stronger it gets. So That's what happened to me my whole life. It just kept building and building and building, and then I would attract new people into my life who wanted to do rituals for their baby blessing or maybe a house blessing, and then it grew from there to attending Wicca classes and learning about spells and rituals and the power of symbols to speak to our brains, because our brains are pictographic. We're image processors. We want images. We want symbols, and that's how we speak in greater depth to each other. And I just loved everything about it. I thought magic was the juiciest thing and the only way I wanted to live.
Fantastic. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. You touched on a lot. I think a lot of our viewers are going to learn from you. They're going to learn about the naturalness of magic. It's not special, like this special thing. It's happening around us all the time, and you just have to allow yourself to be open to it. And you're the open, curious mind and body. So, and you also touched on the magic of rituals, which I'm really, really excited about because, as you mentioned, in our world today, there's very little honoring of our menstruation and of our periods, but ritual can really help to empower us. And so, would you talk with us about the the rituals, like what is a ritual and how can we apply that to making menstruation something special and something empowering?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. I love that because ritual is such an opportunity to mark a moment, to take a moment, and rather than it just being a routine rote situation, but bringing in intention. That's kind of one of the biggest aspects about ritual. Yes, of course, you work with the symbolism. It keeps traditions going. It helps us commemorate a moment. But more than that, it's our intention as one of the number one ingredients to any ritual that makes it the most important thing. And we build who we are. We create our identity and who we are by the acts that we perform, by the habits that we perform, by the rituals that we perform, by everything that we do. So even that when you are drinking your morning coffee or your tea or having breakfast, just taking a moment to recognize that you are honoring yourself by the foods that you like to eat and drinking enough water and this kind of a thing and taking it in such a way that you're recognizing and putting intention into it. And that's really one of the biggest aspects about a ritual. It allows a moment to be magical. It allows the mundane to be special. It allows the regular to become mystical when you bring in this awareness and this idea that you are doing this with an intention, something that you want to create. So, for example, with your menses, one of the first things is just recognize from historical perspective, our menses, when we had our menses, we would go into the red tents. We would gather as women and when we lived in smaller communities and we would gather as women and go into a place together and we would all bleed at that same time. Because when we look at the idea of what is a period, but it is taking the extra and sloughing off the extra and releasing it. So every moment we have, every month we have an opportunity to recognize that we are in ceremony. The most important ceremony that there exists on all the planet is the ceremony of being able to give life to another human being. And even though we're not choosing every month to give life, it is part of that ceremony and it is an opportunity for us to let go of what doesn't serve us, but also recognize that this is a ceremony. And so therefore we need to slow down for those 3 to 5 days. Take off half of the things on your to-do list if you can. Give yourself more time to get to the grocery store, to get to school, to wherever it is that you're going. Give yourself time to have a slower pace. So the first thing to do with your menses, I believe, is to recognize that it is a ceremony of life. I may have told you this story that I mean, if I've told you, I haven't told everybody here, so I'm gonna say it again. There,
Say
when
it.
I am partially indigenous, so I went to a ceremony 20 years ago, and it was a tobacco blessing and a naming ceremony where I was going to receive a very spiritual name. And first, and it was a heavy, heavy bleeding day. And I decided that it would be a good idea to tell the leader that I was bleeding. I had no idea. I don't know what made me tell a 70-something-year-old man that, by the way, I'm on my period, and he said, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? That means that we can't have you participate in the herbal gathering ceremony, and you're going to need to sit in a circle outside of the main group." Because and I thought, "Well, what is that about?" Like, I felt like I was being punished. I didn't enjoy the feeling of that. And as when we're on our periods, sometimes our energy goes and we get very ready to attack. And so he brought in an elder woman who explained to me that my period is a ceremony of life, and that gathering the herbs and sitting in the circle with everybody else was asking me to do double work. And I didn't, and she said, You don't need to be doing double work. You were already in ceremony, you were already in ritual. And so what
Oh,
happened was 12 other women, for whatever reason, decided to mention that they were on their period. So we ended up in a council of 13 women, from teenagers to elder women who were on their period at that time, in a special circle, and everybody took care of us. They brought us food, they brought us drink, we were part of the ceremony, but we were outside of it, because the other aspect is that when you're on your period, you are in your most powerful time. You are attuned to your intuition. You are in this ceremony of life. And therefore, the elder woman said to me, Your personal intentions could end up affecting the community rather than giving to the community good, because you are so empowered now. And it's not about you saying something wrong or bad or anything like that. It's just, this is a community work. And when someone is coming in with so much power that they need to be in a circle on the side, being celebrated for the power that they're holding in that circle, and then they will serve me. And so that to me became so important that whenever I was on my period for my family, I ordered pizza. I'm like, well, I don't
oh.
want my energy to affect what you're doing. And I believe
Yeah.
that's why we experience PMS, because we try
Huh.
to do too much
Huh.
when we're on our period. We try to take on too much. We try to keep going at the same rate, even though our body is screaming at us to slow down.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
keep pushing.
Oh my gosh. So beautiful. So beautiful. I mean, I wish that everybody had the opportunity to be in a conscious community where the bleeding woman is honored, and then to also be in a group of women where you can learn together and be treated so beautifully and cherished because of your powers, because of your moon time. So that said, most of the girls that I know, we don't have that. Now there are some red tent communities around the country, and that's a whole different conversation that I'm going to get into at another time. But most average girls don't have that, or women. So, are there some kinds of rituals that you could recommend that either a group of girls or a single girl or woman can do on they can do on their own without
Absolutely.
a conscious community? And if so, what would you like to recommend?
So I have a couple of different things that I would suggest.
Great.
And they're all gonna they might often feel a little awkward at first, but to recognize that's because, from the grand social perspective, what we're proposing, honoring your period, is so antithesis of what we see even in the commercials for tampons and and pads. You don't see that. They want to keep you active. Wear this pad and you can keep doing everything. And I'm saying the opposite. Sleep longer if you need to sleep longer. You know, eat that chocolate if you need to eat that chocolate. I mean, you don't go to excess, but it definitely does help in mood regulation. And so recognizing what it is that your body needs, first of all, that's the first ritual you can do. The
Mhm.
second ritual that you can do, if you have a place to sit outside, to sit outside wearing a skirt and no underwear and bleed directly onto the earth. And you can wrap a
Interesting.
towel around you. You can do this in any way that feels most secretive for you and calming because it's a little odd. I mean, you're sitting there and just kind of, wow, what is this? What am I actually doing here? And allow yourself in those ways that, like, when you do yoga and someone says, okay, now I want you to feel your ovaries. You're like, feel my ovaries? How do I even do that? So you might put your hand on either side of where your ovaries are and send your intention there. And that you
Oh,
might even get to that point where you can feel the menses leave your body and
oh my
that you can experience, you can grow sensory awareness for your private part so that you can feel when one side is giving up an egg or the other side. You can feel like I have even tested in the same way that babies can be taught to not wear a diaper and literally just urinate when the moms are ready for them by placing them over the sink or over whatever it is, are ways that we can train babies so we can train ourselves as teenagers, young women, adult women to recognize and feel when we're having our period. So that might mean that on a day that you feel pretty safe, like you just wear a slight little pad and see if you can feel the movement that's happening, if you can pay attention to it. And so sitting on the earth and allowing yourself to bleed, maybe you read a book and then you just have that experience of it. So really honoring what your body is doing by becoming more aware of it is one way. Another thing that I would do is I would often I had a huge cauldron. Do I have it here near me? Nope, I guess I don't. I had a huge cauldron that I would put my tampons and my bloody pads in and fill it up with water and let it sit for a day or so to soak up that water, or a couple of hours, whatever feels comfortable for you, and then water the garden with it. Another thing
oh,
that you can do is you can choose a very special cloth, like a red piece of cotton, and place that in your panties. And then, at the low end of your bleeding. I'm not suggesting during the heavy cycle part, but during a lower bleeding part, and you bleed onto that rag, and then you use that special rag to wrap up your most precious crystals.
oh my goodness.
So that's what I was able to do because I didn't know when I was going to get my last menses, because the way the last menses come, it comes and it goes. You never know when it's going to show up. And so I went to a women's herbal symposium. Well, of course, surrounded by all the women, you start your menses. And so I had like one last hurrah and I didn't have anything. So they gave me a red cloth. And
Oh,
with that, I was able to take that cloth and it now holds my special crystals. Some people will create art with their menses bleeding onto certain cloths, and
oh,
that you can honor it in that way. I've known friends who have framed it, who have framed
oh my
these
gosh.
cloths that they bled onto. So
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
basically everything that you can do to honor it and not feel the shame. Whatever
Yes.
you need to do, whatever you can do, even if it's just repeating an affirmation, I honor my menses, I honor my period, I honor what my body is doing. My period as a celebration of life, my period as a ceremony of life. Writing affirmations to help you switch it, because the more you dread it, the more you fear your period, the more it's going to hurt. Period.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is so beautiful. Everything that you recommended, sitting on the earth, uh, bleeding into the cloth, having your pads soaking in the bowl of water. And it's just like at it all culminates in that last sentiment, which is just honor it. As you're sitting on the earth, I imagine, because I haven't done that. I think it's a fabulous, I mean, I sit on the earth without bleeding into it. And I connect with the nature. And also I'm imagining it's the same with a bleeding girl. Honor the earth, you honor your connection to nature. As you see your blood in the bowl of water, you look at that blood and I'm like, oh my God, this is a miracle. This is a nature. This is such it's not gross. It's not ugly. It's it's miraculous, all this connection. So I love these rituals. This is so beautiful. So here's a fun one. Okay, a girl goes into the bathroom and or a woman, anybody goes in the bathroom and she's bled into her panties. Is there a mini ritual that she can do looking at the blood in her panties?
Okay, so is this one of those that would say you didn't mean to and you don't have anything to help you with it? The first thing
What's
is to call out, anyone got a tampon out there? Like allow the sisterhood to help you. And also, I think in that time, considering what blood represents. So, from a symbolic perspective, blood represents a couple different things. One, it's our root chakra, so it's about groundedness. Are you feeling
love it?
grounded or are you feeling flighty?
Hmm.
So are you feeling kind of out there and a little frazzled, like the wind has been blowing for days and you can't seem to ground yourself? So, in that first moment, recognizing maybe even before any of this happens, ask yourself, what does that ruby red blood represent to you? And find what works for you. Because if you are thinking, you know what, this isn't a miracle, I'm not calling it a miracle. I can't do that, but I can call it a ceremony of life, or I can call it a moment to tune into my body, or I can call it a moment for rest, whatever it means to you, because symbols are only as powerful as the meaning we give them. And not just the collective consciousness, because of course there is that. We use that color red to mean stop, right? Like stay still. That's our on our stop signs. We say stop with red, but red also represents life and vitality and the
Oh,
continuity of life itself. So and that's from a collective consciousness. So that collective consciousness it's like a big river and a big current that lives in our consciousness. So we can tap into that. But if we're like, meh, that's not how I see it. I see it more as an opportunity for me to honor my body exactly where I am right now. And I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to start. And I believe in affirmations. I'm
hmm.
a huge proponent of positive affirmations
Yeah.
and having positive affirmations as a way of looking at that spot on your period and having something ahead of time. I am now in the ceremony of life. I welcome the change coming through. I honor my moon time. I honor me. And boom, that's it. That's your ritual.
Ah,
You might
gorgeous.
even have maybe a special red candle that you light when you're on your moon cycle to remind you that you are in ceremony, to remind you that in the same way that when you're giving birth, if you can relax into the process, the cramps don't happen as much. And that can also be true for now. There are people who have other menses situations, and in those cases, I recommend looking into the herbs that can help you, making sure that you have some tea nearby. Maybe you have a warm heating pad that you can put on your abdomen, that you allow for this time of rest, because that's what it's there for. It's to help you rest.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And you addressed something that I was going to ask you about, which is I know a lot of women suffer in their periods. They do suffer, and as you have touched on, a lot of it has to do with the fact that our culture is very, we reward productivity, we reward busyness. It's all about busy, and I love that you're recommending peace and rest. And then also you do kind of suggest that even appreciating our cramps as in a ritual, by drinking the tea, by having the heating pad, just by probably having the intention of thanking our uterus for being a part of our body. So I appreciate that so much because I see way too many social media posts of girls enacting how much agony they're in when they have cramps. And it's like, it's funny. And yes, I know a lot of women do suffer greatly with period pain. And yet, how can we shift that? How can we help them through ritual and what you've recommended, including thinking about it more positively? is a really great way of doing it. So I really appreciate that.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you. Yeah, I understand, that our bodies are all built differently, but I mean, this is the one body, this is the vehicle you've been given your whole life. So the more you get to know it, the more you understand. And if because of the cultural pervasiveness, if you need to say, okay, I get my oil changed in my car, I put gas in it, I make sure I'm not driving four-wheel, the back roads if my car doesn't do that, like you're honoring that vehicle. So honoring your body in the same way and getting to know it. Like you would look at your foot and go, okay, that's my foot. It helps me run. It helps me do these things. And looking at your uterus in the same way as your foot. So in other words, like it's another organ in your body, just like your stomach or your liver and a different part of you, to not have it be this separate thing. I mean, and it is hard because it is culturally, and decades of, when you were on your menses, that you would be pushed out in a way that meant like you are dirty now that you're bleeding. So this is part of the culture that young people need to recognize, that they are fighting against years
yeah.
and decades and centuries of putting women down for actually this ceremony of life. And so flipping the story, recognizing that you're flipping the story, but also that just like a kaleidoscope only needs one click for the entire geometric design to change, all you need is one little click for you to be able to start to see your period as possibly a time of rest, as possibly a time of ceremony, as possibly a time for you to get to understand and feel your body more. Because the best thing about that is, especially as you get older, knowing all the little things that your body does will help you maintain your health longer, will help you maintain an active life longer. The more you pay attention and get to know your body's conversation that it's having with you, and not ignoring and overriding it, but paying attention to your body, the happier you're going to be.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Such good wisdom, phenomenal wisdom. I have
Thank
just
you.
another question. And I don't know if it's going to be on subject, but when we have girls who are coming into their first periods, their first menses, and I'm an advocate of celebrating moon time. And I imagine that we all have fantasies about the way celebrations took place back in the ancient days when girls started their periods, and there'd be dancing and food and honoring of the girl and the washing of the hair and the feet and all that other kind of thing. Now, is that a ritual? Would that be kind of a ritual that would empower girls today? Have you ever participated in something like that? Or is a ceremony different than a ritual?
I think a ritual is a routine with intention. That's how I
Okay.
think of ritual, and ceremony is more like the party. you know
I love
that's
it.
kind of
Got it.
that's how I see the difference.
Yes.
Yes, and I have my two different ones I'm thinking of. One, my with my daughter, I mean, she wasn't, kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But we went out and we bought her a red outfit. It had to be a
Oh,
red outfit. She got a brand, I didn't care what, pants, shirts, skirt, I don't care what it is. It just has to be red. You just wear this as honoring your menses. This is you honoring your menses. We took her out to dinner. We went to go see a movie. But the one that was a nice ritual. I'm seeing more moms doing that, more aunties doing that. Um, but the one that I really enjoyed the most was for my niece, Olivia, when we were it just worked out that I was leading a goddess retreat in Fiji, and my cousin was the manager of the resort, and my niece, Olivia, had just started her period. So, and it was perfect because we were doing a maiden enchantress mother crone ceremony. So it was different aspects of it. And during the maiden ceremony, what we did is we had a bowl of red beads and a string, in the same way people are doing this with people who are doing baby blessings. And you put a string, every woman in the big circle will put a bead on the string, and a wish for them as a woman.
oh my
I wish
goodness.
that you know this about yourself as a woman. I hope that as a woman you do this. You might hear these fallacies about being a woman, but I want to empower you. And so then each woman takes a turn putting the bead on a string, and it creates a bracelet or a necklace or an anklet or whatever it is for that young woman who has just started her menses. And she is able to then have this support of all those women. At the Women's Herbal Symposium, they do a huge maiden ceremony where they sing to the goddess Artemis. Artemis, maidens come to us, and the women come to us in a long line, and then we gather around them. 400 women gather around 10 or so young women who have just started their menses, and each woman is asked to give up their maiden time, and they've braided a little braid in their hair, and they cut off this braid as close to the ear as possible so that they know this is a separation. You are now moving into womanhood. And then they paint a red circle on her forehead, on her third eye, to remind her that her moon time is when she is the closest to her intuition, and to listen to herself, to listen to her own inner guidance and allow her moon time to guide her. And she is first draped in like the white of maidenhood, and then she gets a red cloak put over her. And so that in each moment we're seeing how powerful it is to be in ceremony, to be part of the womanhood that is growing in feral energy and feral strength and unapologetic. And that's what I want for every woman to having their menses, is to be unapologetic. So if you go to the grocery store and they're like, price check for Tampax on aisle 15, that you're like, that's right, I am a ceremony of life person. That's what I'm doing. And really to have fun with it and to be silly, because shame is so powerful and it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the people who are putting it on us, not the women who are and the girls who are bleeding. That shame does not belong with us, because if it wasn't for us, there would be no life.
Exactly. Wow, Jamie, you are phenomenal. You are phenomenal. So
Oh,
beautiful. What a rich conversation. This has been eye-opening, mind-opening, spirit-opening. Oh my gosh. I
well,
feel
I
like we've
appreciate that you're doing this, that you're interviewing people, that you're bringing this consciousness to people, because it is so important that we honor ourselves as this, and that we don't take on the shame
yeah.
that has been dumped onto us, that is not for us to own. And I love that
Hey.
you are guiding so many young women and talking to so many people about this. Thank you for the work that you're
Oh.
doing.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jamie. Well, I would love for people to find out about you and your work, because you offer so much in so many realms. And I know you have a mentorship program. How can people find you?
You can find me on my website, jamiedella.com, Jamied, as in diva, ELLA.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and Substack. Writing the Magic is my twice a month newsletter that I send out, that has everyday magic and lunar rituals and Sabbat ceremonies and a lot of magical wisdom and insight of walking this path for nearly 30 years. So might even be 30 years at this point. But anyways, I'd love to welcome any of your listeners.
Well, you are a phenomenal teacher. I've attended one of your writing classes. I have been a part of your soul collage class. I've listened to so many of your wonderful programs. You're just marvelous. Your writing is outstanding. I have your books, not all of them, but a couple of them. And you're a gift to the planet, and you're a gift to women. And I'm so grateful, Jamie, for what you have offered us today. I just feel like we're all on a mission to empower women. And this show, I know it's going to help girls, women, every age, even women who aren't bleeding, because the message is the same. The magic still works for us in all aspects, but it's
We
just
can still take
really
a rest.
special.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
still take a rest every month and order pizza if we need to. We,
yes.
we can
Amen.
have that.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so, so much, Jamie. I'm just so grateful for you. And
Thank you for having me.
my pleasure. So I thank you, audience, for watching Let's Talk Period, and we'll see you next time.